It was a typical Friday night in Columbus, Ohio on March 31st, 2006. Brian Shaffer, a second-year medical student at Ohio State University, had just finished his exams and was ready to kick off his spring break with some well-earned fun. Like any other college student looking to unwind, he and his friend, William Clint Florence, decided to hit up the local bars. Brian had plans later that evening with his girlfriend, Alexis Wagoner, who he was set to visit in Miami for a vacation. Little did anyone know this ordinary night out would be the last time Brian was ever seen. Brian and Clint started their night at the Ugly Tuna Saloona, a popular bar near Ohio State's campus. It wasn't unusual for students to pack the place, and that night was no exception. After a few drinks, the two men decided to head out and visit other bars nearby. Over the next couple of hours, they made their rounds, stopping for drinks and fun, running into friends, and enjoying the evening. At around 1:15 a.m., Brian and Clint, along with Clint's friend Meredith, made their way back to the Ugly Tuna Saloona to cap off the night. Surveillance footage shows Brian Shaffer entering the bar with his friends. They were seen walking up the escalator toward the entrance of the Ugly Tuna. But that's where things take a bizarre turn. Brian was never seen exiting the bar. Despite there being cameras at every exit, none captured Brian leaving. As the clock ticked closer to 2 a.m., Brian became separated from his friends. Clint and Meredith searched for him briefly inside the bar but eventually left, assuming he had gone home. The weekend passed without word from Brian. His girlfriend Alexis tried calling him multiple times, but there was no response. The concern grew when he missed their flight to Miami on Monday morning. Brian wasn't the type to flake, and the realization dawned on everyone. Something was terribly wrong. Brian's family and friends immediately reported him missing, and the police launched an extensive investigation. The first step was combing through the bar's security footage. To everyone's shock, the footage clearly showed Brian entering the bar but not leaving. How could someone vanish from a bar with only one main entrance and exit? Was there another way out that wasn't captured on camera? Or did something far more sinister happen? Investigators scoured the area around the Ugly Tuna, checking nearby alleyways, dumpsters, and rooftops. No trace of Brian was found. Search dogs were brought in to track his scent, but they too came up empty. His car remained parked outside his apartment, untouched. As days turned into weeks, the mystery only deepened. Theories began to swirl around Brian's disappearance. One of the earliest suggestions was that Brian had slipped out of the bar unnoticed, possibly through a back door or service exit that wasn't covered by cameras. But this idea was quickly dismissed. The building was well secured, and even the service exits were monitored. Another theory was that Brian had wandered off in a drunken state and somehow fallen into the Olentangy River, which ran near the bar. However, extensive searches of the river and its banks turned up nothing. Authorities even drained parts of the river in their efforts, but no body was ever recovered. As the investigation progressed, attention turned to Brian's friends, particularly Clint Florence. Clint was one of the last people to see Brian that night, and was known to have been drinking heavily. Police questioned Clint multiple times, but he refused to take a polygraph test, which only fueled speculation. Was he hiding something, or was he simply following legal advice? Brian's family and friends were left grasping for answers. His father, Randy Shaffer, became the public face of the search, pleading for any information that might lead to his son. Tragically, Randy passed away in 2008, struck by a falling tree during a storm. His death added another layer of heartbreak to the Shaffer family's story. As the years passed, the case grew cold, but the theories about Brian's fate only intensified. Some believed that Brian, overwhelmed by the pressures of medical school and the recent death of his mother from cancer, had chosen to start a new life. There were reports of potential sightings across the country, but none were ever confirmed. Other darker theories suggest that Brian may have been the victim of foul play. Some wonder if he was lured out of the bar and killed, with his body hidden or disposed of in a way that's never been uncovered. The strange behavior of his friend Clint also raises questions. Did Clint know more than he was letting on? Could Brian's disappearance have been the result of a dispute, or perhaps an accidental death that was covered up? One of the most chilling theories involves the possibility of Brian's abduction by a criminal ring. The timing of his disappearance, late at night after a few drinks in a crowded bar, could have made him an easy target. Yet without any concrete evidence, these theories remain just that: speculation. In the years since Brian Shaffer's disappearance, the case has haunted Columbus and the wider true crime community. Despite the efforts of the police, private investigators, and internet sleuths, there are still no definitive answers. Brian's girlfriend, Alexis, remains hopeful, believing that one day he will be found. Today, Brian Shaffer's disappearance stands as one of the most baffling and mysterious missing persons cases in American history. How could a man walk into a bar in the middle of a bustling city and never be seen again? What happened to Brian that fateful night? The answers may be out there, but for now they remain locked in the shadows of that dark, chilly Ohio evening. This was the case of Brian Shaffer, a disappearance that still haunts, perplexes, and raises more questions than answers.